Good morning. It's Thursday, November the 12th, and this is The Drill. Thank you. The prayer of the day comes from dailyscripture.net. Lord Jesus, may your kingdom come and may your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Be the ruler of my heart and the master of my life, that I may always live in the freedom of your love and truth. Amen. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. Who is the true conservative? First and foremost, he is realistic. Secondly, he's monotheistic. He's the person that has the courage of his convictions and is confident in what he knows. He's the person that subordinates politics to reality. He's not selfish, but minds his own business. He acts like an adult. He's patriotic and uses common sense. He is judgmental and moralizes. He refuses to speculate, speaks clearly and definitively, and is not afraid to say no. He's open-minded, asking why, rather than why not. He's consistent, credible, and influential. Not ashamed of his existence, unafraid to learn and correct his mistakes. He is a normal American, and he's better than the socialist. He's a better friend, father, brother, family member, and a better person, period. You have to know that being a true conservative is best, or you are wasting your time. Additional examples of what it means to be a true conservative can be heard by listening to John Cobelt and Ken Champeau on the John and Ken Show on KFI AM 640 Monday through Friday from 2 to 6 p.m. Nancy Pelosi has refused to negotiate in good faith regarding the second stimulus because it denies money to Republicans. Republican support is grassroots, and Democrat support is from tech billionaires and George Soros. There will be calls from Old Joe and others to move on. The appropriate response to that is counter-psychological. Yes, we will move on to a second Trump term. You will also be told about Old Joe's plans for the future, about who he plans to put in various cabinet posts, about what executive orders he will write. The left is trying to psych you out and to use the junior high school phrase. The proper response to those assertions is to say, really? And how does he plan to do that from his basement in Delaware? My podcast is short, approximately 5 to 20 minutes long, because shorter podcasts are easier to download and listen to. The biggest socio-political influences in my life are my parents, my teachers, Sir Francis Bacon, John Locke, Sir Isaac Newton, Ayn Rand, and Dr. Mortimer Adler. My podcast is made available through Spreaker and can be heard on iTunes, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. Today, where do we stand? The Four Commandments, quote of the day, conservative vocabulary, liberalism loses with Biden, conservative aphorisms, and socialist vocabulary. All that when I come back. Thank you. The biggest problem with the news is besides the undeclared bias, is lack of continuity. So I decided to take the issues facing the country and report on them daily until the story is complete. Hence, where do we stand? Donald Trump is still president of the United States. Republicans have a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. Republicans have gained at least 8 seats in the House of Representatives. The Senate is currently 50 to 48. The Republicans picked up another seat yesterday. 50 to 48 in favor of the Republicans, with two races outstanding, And those two are in Georgia, and they're going to be a runoff. And people in Georgia have to get registered by December 7th, and then the vote will take place on January 5th. Republicans have 27 governorships to the Democrats' 23. Republicans control 55 of 99 state legislative chambers. Since it's the state legislatures that create the districts, the Democrats are in big trouble. President Trump has filed lawsuits in several states alleging voter fraud, and Attorney General Barr has authorized an investigation into said voter fraud. Not my President-elect Biden continues to pimp about, pretending to be somebody. No news on the monster that has been arraigned for shooting 2 Los Angeles sheriff's deputies. George Soros still is not dead yet. No law enforcement union has yet been decertified, and no laws shielding officers from prosecution have yet been repealed. The so-called Patriot Act is still the law of the land. New York Times v. Sullivan continues to encourage news people to be super citizens who can use unnamed sources to slander and defame people at will without fear of consequences. Where's the expose on the Washington Press Corps? Where's the nonprofit news? The communist flu continues. Blue Cross and Kaiser Permanente continue to take our premiums while they avoid paying claims. Governor Newsom has enacted a racist scheme to keep Californians locked down indefinitely. When I come back, conservative vocabulary. Thank you. There's more to being a true conservative than how you vote. If you want to be a true conservative, you have to act, think, and talk like a true conservative. Hence, conservative vocabulary. No. Go back. Acceptance. Mind your own business. Right, wrong, should, good, bad, evil, reality, certainty, morality, beauty, and polity. These are terms that the left doesn't want you to use because they are realistic. Liberalism loses with Biden. Joe Biden is not the man to rejuvenate liberalism. He is its last gasp. No president gets reelected when there's a recession, or worse, in the year leading up to the vote. That's been the case since the Great Depression, at any rate. And if Donald Trump is in fact sworn in for a second term come January, his populism will have beaten the greatest of political odds. But if Joe Biden is sworn in instead, Trumpism wins another way, by leaving liberalism to be smashed to pieces by the circumstances of its own Pyrrhic victory. First, there's the pendulum, the swing of political forces away from the president's party in midterm elections. Come 2022, Democrats will lack the single greatest source that motivated their gains in 2018, opposition to Donald Trump. The Democrats' depressing performance for them in this year's congressional elections, when their voters did turn out in force, only to be met with equal or greater counterforce by highly motivated Republicans, are only a taste of what's in store. Defending an administration in power is hard. With greater power comes greater responsibility and therefore all the blame. Since Obama left office, the Democrat Party has simply been the anti-Trump party. Now it will be neither the Obama party nor the anti-Trump party, but the Biden party. And that's not a thing to inspire anybody. The Democrat Party is the party of the irreligious and the aggressively anti-Christian. Even when these hatreds do not provoke revulsion from voters, they twist liberalism into a quasi-sectarian movement rather than an effective political one. 4 years from now, the Democrats will be looking for another nominee. And if Kamala Harris was lackluster in the 2020 primaries, she won't be any stronger when she's tied to a failed administration in 2024. The 2020 election showed that even in the midst of a recession and a pandemic, even after 4 years of relentless Russian collusion hype, 4 years of demonizing the president and his supporters as racists, even after impeachment and with the liabilities as well as the strengths of the president's personality, the Trump message was capable of mobilizing a record number of voters for the GOP and making gains among blacks, Latinos, and Asians. Under the worst possible conditions, Trump and Trumpism performed well, much better than the pollsters and pundits predicted. Joe Biden, who's starting his 9th decade under the sky before the next presidential election, is not the man to rejuvenate liberalism. He is, rather, its last gasp. And that was from an article, excerpts from an article in the American Conservative magazine. So how can a conservative win? Simple. Follow the conservative commandments. Number 1, thou shalt not answer stupid questions. Number 2, thou shalt not be pragmatic. Number 3, thou shalt not be idealistic. Number 4, thou shalt not subscribe to the cult of expertise or the cult of neutrality. As conservatives, we make the presumption of the status quo and change only when there's an obvious or prima facie case for change. However, many of the changes that our civilization has seen are not necessary but gratuitous, such as the recent, as a matter of fact, in this election, 4 more states joined the 8 states that are ready to make 12 states total that have legalized the recreational use of marijuana. And in California, there is going to be a something on the ballot, not a referendum, an initiative. That's it, a ballot initiative to decriminalize, not legalize yet, but decriminalize psilocybin, which is magic mushrooms, heroin, and cocaine. So you can see the progression. You see how this goes. We give in to one thing, and guess what comes? It's not, all we want is just to legalize marijuana. It's just about marijuana. No, it isn't. It never is. They just use that as a foundation for something else. The following is a list of ideas, concepts, abstractions that should not have been changed or left by the wayside, and so should be brought back. Bring back privacy, property rights, the pre-1970 filibuster, outlawry, single-income households, integration, parenting, and along with it, corporal punishment, the primacy of existence, certainty of knowledge, and universal rights and wrongs. Bring back principled behavior, masculinity and femininity, Adam 12, John F. Kennedy, the gold standard, pre-HMO medical care, non-profit news, civil service, the term stupid question, arguments and fights, the cultural influence of the church and the Boy Scouts. Bring back the influence of social organizations such as the Lions Club and the Rotary Club. Bring back bowling. Bring back linear thinking. Bring back smart. Be of good cheer. The universe is benevolent and success is to be expected. Therefore, the left has no authority, no power, and they can't win. Think about it. If you don't know what else to say to a lefty, by the way, you kind of get jammed up by some lefty. You can also always tell them, hey, you have no authority, no power, and you can't win. And just keep saying that over and over and over again. Conservative aphorisms. These are words and statements that make good bumper stickers. Why? Who asked you? Who cares? Who is we? Are you sure? How do you know? No, you don't understand. No, you are not listening. You're right, I don't care. No, you're not a leader or a change agent. Who died and left you in charge? Who told you that? And my personal favorite, get off of my lawn. Next up, socialist vocabulary. Thank you. Since nobody wears uniforms, how do you identify the socialists in your midst? By their vocabulary, by the way they speak. Socialist vocabulary includes such words as stakeholders, Latinx, empower, going forward, mansplaining, politically correct, supportive, hegemony, organic, grassroots, code word, dog whistle, and the masses. The ICE tip line is 866-347-2423. Back in a minute. Who is the socialist? He's the man that seeks consensus rather than develop his own opinions. He's subjective, petty, and small, taking everything in life personally. He's outrageous, boring, and rude. He pretends to be a leader and a change agent. He's manipulative. He's sly, cunning, and deceptive. He dresses and acts and speaks like a slob. He's informal and terminally unique. He is childish and pretends that he knows nothing. He's pragmatic and ignores his conscience. He acts randomly and rationalizes his behavior. Deterministic, blaming others for his mistakes. Skeptical, demanding that others solve his problems. His unreasonableness and irresponsibility make him a bad role model and a bad father, brother, family member, friend, and a bad person, period. So if you think that you should be friends with a socialist, think again. That concludes another episode of The Drill. Be honest, be smart, be beautiful, and always ask yourself, what is real? How do I know? And what should I do about it? I'm Ron, and that's The Drill.